Hey Bala, good morning. How's the weather? How's the cyclone?
Morning, Raj. Cyclone is, it wasn't as bad as we had feared it to be last night, but it's still slightly scary. As we speak, the winds are howling and the drizzle has started, and you know the situation. And it's been a pretty dark night in a sense. The weather is pretty bad in my parts. For which we have gathered this morning is to talk of Maradona, who passed away last night, who was our hero growing up, one of our earliest heroes.
Yes,
For
yes.
many of us, he was the one who got us into football, watching football in the first place, isn't
Yeah,
it, Raj?
yeah, very true, very true. I think maybe the weather gods are paying obeisance to
In
him. I don't know.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, like
yeah,
my friend Satish Acharya said in his cartoon, uh, Maradona has actually reached out to the real hand of God. Is all we can say.
exactly.
So yeah, so you are right. I mean, my earliest memories go back to I think the 1978 World Cup. That is
Where
when
he, yeah, exactly. But he didn't get to play, right?
yeah, he just sort of flitted in and out. So Mario
Okay.
Kempes was the guy there, and
Yes.
those were the
Caesar
days.
Menotti didn't allow him. He
Yes,
was supposed to be his mentor, but
yeah,
he didn't because he found him too young and impetuous.
and see the point was that see you can't blame him because see this dude had come from I think from 1976 or I can't remember. I remember so he had come in to that game with some crazy number of goals in his
Yeah,
in the
junior
Argentina
grade in the junior
junior grade tournament, and then he was paid some crazy amount of money when he moved to Boca Juniors. That also I
Boca
remember.
Juniors. Exactly. Raj,
So
it's pretty interesting because half of the world, especially on social media platforms, is discussing 1986. But
yeah,
you are the one who talks of 1978 actually, and that's where actually it started.
yes,
You are right. You're
yeah
bang on.
for me Bala, it was also the reason that see that those are the times when we actually got to saw some live sport because
Oh, okay, you
Doordarshan
did. I
used to
didn't get
yeah.
to see. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but Doordarshan wasn't there outside Delhi, no.
Okay. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So they
That's
used to
true.
call it
That's
Delhi Doordarshan.
Delhi Doordarshan.
Avlada.
All of that.
So it's not
So
Doordarshan, it is near
I
that.
didn't. This is news. I didn't realize that 1978 was also shown live.
Yes. No, it was some matches, not all the matches.
Okay.
So Maradona, we didn't get to see. 82
Okay.
is when it was shown live.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you had that, 82 people remember because of that brilliant Brazilian team going back home.
Exactly. Without
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah. And then you remember it for Paulo Rossi.
Paulo Rossi. But
Yeah.
I do remember because reading up to it, I do remember Maradona was hyped up, and in fact, he was supposed to do well. But the against Spain, especially, he was red carded against Spain
Yes. Yes.
because that's when the physicality of sports actually came out.
Yes.
Because that's
And
when
the
football was actually became pretty physical sport.
see when I see we had heard a lot about Maradona. I mean, you taking a look at a 2D picture doesn't sort of prepare you for the guy, right? And then
Exactly.
when you see the guy says, even Appa, I mean, he doesn't look like a footballer from any angle, right?
Short,
Yeah, short,
short.
everything that a footballer is. Until you remember, there was another dude some years back called Pele.
Pele. Exactly. He was also diminutive.
So they, yeah, no, sorry.
And
Because
there
see,
was another legend called Garincha, who was also
yes,
called Little Bird.
yeah, little bird. So I mean, you forget all of that, and you suddenly come back to thinking, okay, is this the guy we are talking about? Until he steps onto the field.
Yeah.
So
But even in 1982, you're right. There was one amazing goal against Hungary
and
where
yeah,
where he scores from the left hand side. The more difficult part is he has gone very acute in the D, and he went for the near post.
so see, seriously, Bala, see, I mean, that is what you like about that fellow because, I mean, unlike other people who, I mean, football is supposed to be this tough, this thing where you actually, you sort of outrun your opponents, you sort of
Exactly.
outflank them.
Muscle your way
Yeah,
through.
you muscle your way. You look at German football or European football in
Exactly.
general, you'll figure out. And into that comes this fellow who, see, I mean, I can't remember watching that goal exactly because I think I was in college that time. I mean, I don't remember. And those days we had this lovely black and white TVs, where you had to somebody had to hold the antenna for you to see the picture properly.
Because I remember this because I saw it several times on YouTube
YouTube, yes, yes,
much
yeah,
later.
yeah. So
So,
yeah, I don't. But then what I remember of that is, see, I mean, a few of us were sitting and watching. Is it? I mean, we let out expletives because we said, how did that even
that
go in?
happened.
Yeah, how did that even go in? Because when you play, the ball doesn't go in, man. I mean, like you said, near side.
See, there was hardly any gap between the
That's the point.
goal post and the goalkeeper. But
Yeah,
how did he
yeah,
needle that in? It's
yes.
impossible, man.
So see, that is where you have that.
Triggered belief.
Yeah. So we are all looked at it. Did we see it right? And those days, no slow motion camera and stuff like that. It happened, and then we said, okay, did we see it right, or was that some movie trick that he did? So
And that's right. And then after 4 years, 1986 happened.
yes,
That was his World Cup all through.
yeah,
Though
yeah,
he didn't, I mean, we remember for his exploits, but he didn't. He was not the top scorer. Gary Lineker with 6 goals was the top scorer of the tournament. But it was his World Cup, man, because he scored. Maradona scored 5 goals, and he had 5 assists, including the most important one in the final, where he this amazing, intelligent pass that set it up for Burushaga,
yeah, correct.
where Argentina won 3-2. That all important third goal. But
See,
the goal
me,
against Italy
yeah.
was equally terrific.
No, for me that see the finals. I mean, see the semifinals and finals. I mean, you had in between. You had the hand of God.
Yes,
It came and went. Yeah,
and of course the most. I mean, the goal of the century, the second goal against
second
England.
goal. Yeah. So in one God assisted him. The other one, I think he assisted God.
God, yeah, exactly. Exactly, he assisted God. He was actually God.
Yeah, he said, "Look, this is why I believe in God." You saw what happened just now. So
that's true.
So yeah, so I mean, for me, the finals was memorable because of the way the Germans came back.
Yes.
And but for that third goal, if it had extended into extra time and stuff like that, Argentina probably could have sort of handed it over.
Yeah, because from 0-2 it was 2-2 because of Rummenigge.
Yeah, he was the captain, injured, and the guy comes back and scores 2 goals suddenly, and then you wonder, "Hey, yeah, what the hell? Don't tell me these guys are going to win." Right? I mean, it was. I mean, you felt completely out.
More than anything else, I mean, those goals. I mean, the first goal against Italy, where they drew in the group match, where they drew 1-1. That kind of really told that this World Cup was going to be Maradona's. Yeah. That's because he put it past. I think it was Dino Zoff who was the goalkeeper. Dino Zoff. He was the goalkeeper for Italy. So
he was a huge piece of furniture in the goal. I mean,
it's very tall.
Yeah, Dino Zoff standing in the goal and then Maradona dribbling the ball. You feel the other guy doesn't have a chance because I mean this is so huge a thing.
That was then again a typical left dab.
Yeah,
not even a shot.
And you don't see power in his shots. I mean, not that he's incapable of power. He is terrific.
That was one power goal against Greece in 1994. I think it was against Greece, and that was from the right on from the top of the D. That was a smashing left footer, typical left footer Maradona.
Yeah, so he was capable, but the point is that he would see. It's like they say, no, when you can actually, you don't need a hammer to kill an ant. Exactly. So this guy was just like,
because those 2 goals against Belgium, against again one of the better goalkeepers of the time, Jean-Marie Pfaff.
Yeah.
Because those 2 goals were very creative. I remember the huge process written by one of the most respected football writers, Brian Glanville. He was writing it for Sportstar, and Sportstar was our eyes and ears for football in those days.
Sport,
So we were, Brian Glanville kept on saying that in terms of creativity and execution, this is slightly better than the second goal against England.
Yeah.
Especially the second goal against Belgium was audacious left footer chip. It was a chip, man.
See, that's the point. No, see that touch play. See, when we talk about cricket, we talk about the touch play artist. Exactly. So Maradona was equivalent of that in football. I mean, that is what you remember. I think you will eventually remember Maradona for being that. In a game.
And when you put him on a football field, even if you have not watched any football, you know this is the guy who is he is the prima donna of that field.
Yeah.
And because why I tell you this, there is a small incident. Just give me a couple of minutes. Sure. See, in 1986, for practical purposes, though 82 and 78 had happened on TV, 1986 was the first World Cup that had pan-Indian audience in terms of live telecast.
Yeah, correct.
And in Chennai, strangely, since football fever was catching up, Chennai had a huge tradition of football, not on par with Kerala or West Bengal, but it had a good tradition, and Federation Cup and other types of tournament, FA Cup, were all held in Chennai. So you had a huge population of football-loving, football-crazy population. So they had put up a lot of small TVs. I mean, the TVs were pretty small in those days in Marina. So huge gathering would be there in front of those TV watching football, probably for the first time. And believe me, none of them had any great idea of international football. They can watch and understand football. The moment they saw Argentina, they realized this was the Kullan and Shorty, Kullan, Kullan, Kullan. First match they telecast was against Uruguay. Uruguay, and they didn't realize Uruguay was a country or Urga. That's what Urga, Kulla, Urga is apta. See, even the people who didn't understand football, they knew he was the star.
See, I'll give you an example. I happen to be from Kerala, where I think that is probably one state alongside Bengal, which is and Goa to a great extent, where
they love football more than
football is beyond. So see the guys. I can give you the example. So you go to the fields in Kerala, you will find guys playing football through the day, and they wind it up with a small game of cricket in the end.
Exactly.
So Kerala's tryst with football is, we don't need to even mention it. Even today there are enough footballers there.
So much so he was a brand ambassador for one of those local jewelry shop, man.
So see, that is the point. So see, Maradona. See, I've actually seen. See, personally, if you ask me who are my favorite footballers over the years, I tend to think of some European names. That's what Johan Cruyff, for example, comes to mind.
Total football.
Total football. I used to just love the way the guy moved in the field. Maradona was nothing of that, and yet he was the legend. See, for me, that is the case. See, I would like the power footballers, the German football, the forwards who came, Rudy Waller type guys, Klinsmann type guys. So he used to love those guys. You could see, this is like watching, to take a cricket example, which we can't do without, as all of us know. It is like watching Kieron Pollard and Hardik Pandya bat on one side, and then suddenly watching a touch artist at the other end who's just basically, getting that same number of runs. Even a Virat Kohli, why not? So
or even a Rohit Sharma.
Or even a Rohit Sharma can still hit big shots.
Virat Kohli also can.
But then
I get it. I get the point.
Yeah, they score in 2s, 3s like that. They have batted half an hour, 1 hour, and they are suddenly 40 not out. Where the hell did this come from, man? So Maradona was something like that. You watch entire football and then you watch Maradona. It's a completely different thing. So see, you know that, right? The second goal versus England in the 86 World Cup was considered to be the best goal ever. It was
goal of the century.
Best goal ever in football. Now that is taking it beyond. And I still remember, it was just one extra step he took. He was running, and then one step, he flexed his thighs and then just jumped one step forward, and he was all clear suddenly.
See, the guy was capable of amazing speed, man.
Yeah.
With the ball. That's what sets apart good players from great players.
Correct.
See, and his ability to dodge those people marking him. See, even in the finals, he was completely man-marked in the finals because that's what West Germany is pretty good at.
Yeah.
Hans-Peter Briegel.
Yeah.
He was the guy who was chosen to mark out Maradona. But the way he slipped out of his marking and passed it out to Burushaga, that's sheer genius, man. As much the genius of him was evident in the way he slipped past those guys marking him, was as good as a show of genius as any of his goals were.
Correct.
See, Raj, one of the statistics that I was reading about Maradona was he was fouled 53 times in 1986 World Cup. The next player most fouled in that was a Uruguayan who was fouled for 26 times. Francisco Celotti or something. So that kind of showed how he was marked and still managed to score 5 goals and assist in 5 other goals. He had in total 10 goals, 5 goals on himself and 5 in us. So that shows how he is capable. It is not just about his ability to dribble or get past his ability to set it up for his teammates also, which is a pretty crucial factor.
Yeah. So see, we have talked about so much about his that memorable thing. You can't but remember his next World Cup, because that is where we used to see. Those days, football wasn't as popular as it is today.
You're right.
See, 1990 World Cup, if you remember, I think he was injured for a good part of time. He was not. He was not. He was not on the ball. But
and
yet,
Argentina was a pale shadow.
a pale shadow. But I still.
But they
remember
made it to the finals.
No, I still no. He was. I mean, Maradona was a grumpy guy in the whole of 1990 World Cup.
Yes,
but
yes.
One moment I still remember is, I think it was. I don't remember. Was it? It was at. One of those do or die matches. I think was it against Brazil. I think Brazil.
I think it was. Yeah, maybe against Cameroon. I don't think it was. Maybe.
And I can't remember. I mean, see, I remember this was almost a repeat of.
Can't be against Cameroon. Cameroon was the first match which they lost.
Which they lost. So I think so. I remember this. So I mean, if you remember that year, Claudio Caniggia was the star of Argentina, and I mean, I remember a lot of my, young friends who were probably in their not even teenage, 8-10 years old. So they used to ask me, why is this auntie playing in uncle's football?
Okay, with his long hair.
Yeah, I am a pretty guy actually, to be honest. So I remember that distinctly. It was almost like that third goal where he set up Burushaga. He set up Caniggia in this match.
Yeah.
That I remember. I don't remember the game. I think it was Brazil. And it was a do or die game for Argentina, if I remember right. I mean, they lose that.
But he had this famous goal against Greece.
Yeah.
Which was a fine driver.
There were quite a few, yeah. But then, so see, for me, the thing was that in a way, the World Cup, 1990 World Cup, the finals was actually an anticlimax.
Yes, and seeing him cry.
Yeah, and then it was ironical because the guy who held the cup was the guy who let it slip 4 years ago.
Exactly.
Lothar Matthäus. I mean, it was Matthäus. I mean, beyond Matthäus that he took and passed to Burushaga. I still distinctly remember that.
Exactly.
And so, in fact, I remember telling also, now this guy has got free revenge, man. So, I mean, that was very ironical. Although the goal was quite a weird one because it was a foul on Waller, and you remember all of that.
Exactly.
They lost 0-1. It was a very, very nasty match.
And Italy World Cup was very bruising, bloody.
Yeah, very nasty.
One of the World Cups which had very few goals also.
Yeah.
So not a memorable, especially fans who had become bigger fans of Argentina.
Yeah.
To see that team lose is difficult. And from then on, I mean, Maradona, apart from that high of 86 and his show at Naples for Napoli. His career was also blighted by many of his excesses off the field. He was to have this cliche flawed genius because his addictions outside of football and his other issues, and he being slightly violent of temperament.
Yeah.
So it also added, in a sense, strangely, it added to the aura of because you also had some players like who we might not have seen, George Best, who the English press always termed him as the greatest, but he was also against a pretty well-known womanizer and a hard drinker.
So that
typical flawed genius.
See, that
kind of an image we also had for Maradona.
See, I mean, for me, see, what I do is I try to keep. See, now this is a typical. I don't know. I mean, I always used to think it is an Indian trait where we want our sporting heroes to be real-life heroes also. Where we ask them, it is impossible. So you need to focus only on their sporting careers.
Exactly.
So I really don't care what a player is doing off the field. I mean, it is his life.
It is his life. I mean, certainly I'm not judging him, but those excesses did cast a shadow because because he was held for drug cheating.
So now the point is, you remember after that what happened? He tried to justify himself, saying his coach had given him some medicine and they had taken. You remember Shane also same thing.
Exactly. I mean, there were. I mean, when you talk of Maradona, we have to make it very clear there were two kinds of drugs. One was performance-enhancing drugs, and the real drug, or I mean, the popular drug. He was involved in both. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So those were the issues for me. But then I think we'll probably sort of wrap this thing up by remembering that even in his last World Cup match, I mean, we didn't know that would be his last World Cup match. He still ended up making the play.
Exactly.
And so that is his genius.
Genius. I mean, Pele, Garincha, Jairzinho, of course, Beckenbauer, Cruyff. After 1890, you had so many other heroes, right down to Messi and Ronaldo, everything, great players. I mean, for us growing up as impressionable youngsters,
So,
he was the best, and he will remain the best.
so for me, if you look at somebody like Messi, I'm sure Messi probably took to football after watching this
Obviously,
guy, right? I mean, many of
that's
these
like
guys.
Gavaskar passing on the baton
Yes,
to
yes,
Tendulkar.
yes. So that is the way it is. So I think from our generation, I mean, I'm talking about the 80s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s. I mean, 90s. 94 was probably the last time he played, and I think if I remember right, his last match in the World Cup was against one of the African teams, maybe Nigeria. I don't know, Nigeria or Cameroon, Nigeria, I think.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was a win, but then it still was. Still remember listening to the commentary and watching it, and the commentator saying, "This guy, I mean, he seems to be, although he's not as quick on the field as he was 4 years back or 8 years back, he still has enough in him to actually uh, give his shadows uh,
Yeah.
the flip and then sort of pass it on to somebody. And so the
Yeah.
playmaking, see, for me, playmaking, if you think of, you took a lot of names, Pele,
Yes.
Garincha, a lot of guys. Amongst playmakers, I think this guy would be leading the pantheon. I think. I don't think there is
Yeah,
anybody even
because
close to
he, as we said, he was capable of both. Because
him.
86 World Cup, he had 5 goals and 5 assists, man.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
the stand. Yeah.
See, people might question him as a striker, his abilities, which I don't personally.
8 goals in the World Cup, man.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy getting 8 goals, especially when you are marked, not by one person, sometimes by two
Yeah,
people.
yeah, because
So,
in '82, the guy who marked him was, I mean, he notoriously named as Butcher of Bilbao. He was
yeah,
a Spanish guy,
yeah,
Goicoechea,
yeah,
Antonio Goicoechea, or not
yeah,
Antonio, some other Goicoechea.
yeah. So, see,
Mm.
that is what I'm saying. See, I mean, see, if you look at each World Cup, say, simultaneous World Cups, you will find a guy who comes and scores who was not really done brilliantly in the past. 82, Rossi came, then Skilacci came. There's so many guys who suddenly came and
Proto
scored, and then
Scalacci.
yeah, and then they fade away. This dude actually played, got marked, got hit, got butchered on the field, still came and scored goals. To me, I think that is what takes him beyond
Yeah,
a notch, much beyond a notch. So I think
yeah, yeah,
I
certainly.
think so. I mean, I think my everlasting memory of him would be what? Uh, I mean, I think it would be uh, that last goal in the World Cup, Burushaga pass, and his response after Burushaga scored. To
Yeah,
me,
exactly.
that was the moment. He said, "Look, I don't need to be there. I can
That's
be
true.
here."
See, my memory is a kind of a montages from the '86 World Cup.
Yeah,
And of course, why the win against England stands out is because it happened 4 years after Falkland crisis.
Auckland. Yeah. So
So
that was a
Argentina
bit
had a
of a
point. So
yeah,
and Argentina was built up as an underdog, and we always have a soft corner for underdogs.
yeah.
So that kind of worked for many
See,
of us, and that's how heroes are also built.
I was before. See, I mean, Brazil always obviously had great players. I mean, you don't need to look beyond Pele. All of that is fine. But if somebody actually made me realize the worth of a different type of football or different style of football over European football, which is what I used to like always, and which still I like,
Okay.
the European way of playing football, I think it was Maradona. Because Maradona's, I mean, I never realized that you could play the game, slow the game down and still win. See, in your mind, you're always talking about that fast moves. I mean, outflanking, blah blah blah. I mean, that athlete, that supreme athletes, that is athletic or ability which is supposed to be given for football, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And this guy comes in and he breaks all the rules
yeah.
and says, I mean, literally shows the middle finger, says, you know what? I don't need to be like you. I still can score. And look at the number of goals he scored, man.
I mean, there is a word called celerity, the speed. The
Yeah.
celerity, he is capable of that. Suddenly, the game would be slow. Suddenly, he'll be off like a bullet. You never know, he'll be in front of the goal.
Yeah, see. My point is, he could do both, right? I mean, he could see without speeding. See, the point is that if you look at the European style, it's usually it goes fast, right? It is fast throughout. There is hardly any slowing down. The way that this guy could sort of this again, that word comes in Hindi word which I just adore. That tahera which comes in, you slow down and then you see what happens. I think that his ability to slow down is what made him a better player than most of his contemporaries, whereas the others didn't. I mean, I'm making a big statement here, but it's my personal view. I could see the guy slow the game down on purpose. Suddenly he'll be looking like, and then like you said, there'll be this burst of
Catch up.
it comes. So suddenly it comes out from somewhere.
The flash of brilliance.
Yes. So I think that was Maradona. I'm sure he's holding on to the hand of God right now. And
I mean, like him or loathe him, you couldn't. I mean, as they say in sporting cliche, you could have never ignored it.
And I think Pele said it right. Yeah, Pele said it right. Pele said he's looking forward to having a game up there soon with him.
Soon. Yes.
So I think we don't want that to happen very soon. But
because Maradona has gone too soon. Yeah, 60 is not the age to pass.
Yeah, that's it. So anyway, that's it from us. If you have any memories of Maradona, share it with us. Yeah. So see you soon, and bye-bye. Take care.
Bye, Raj. Thank you.
And you stay safe, Bala. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.